the more you keep talking out loud to yourself is going to be the better way of how you're going to be able to start to communicate and enunciate words to this camera. And that will be the ultimate task for myself. I'm trying to set a goal so that I can do better videos and get better ideas of what kind of content I need to do to make more videos, more interesting videos that people would want to actually watch. That is what my goal is to do, is to figure out what do I like to do. That's what I want to do, is figure out, do what I like to do, which what I like to do is a lot of shit. A lot of relaxing. I've noticed that when I don't have a goal, something that I'm trying to achieve, I really am randomly doing shit. I've noticed that in doing more stuff, I tend to be scattered. How to fix a scattered brain? That is what I want to do too, is try to figure out how to not be so scattered. Essentially, if you've seen my workshop at home, you know that yes, it is scattered. Even my brain is scattered. Just walking and try to figure out how to manage a crazy horde that I have of a bunch of junk, really. A lot of different hobbies that I get into. I tend to try to do the cheapest way out, and a lot of the times, if I can get it free or cheap, I'll pick it up, not knowing exactly what I'm gonna do with the shit. Like when I started getting into woodworking, I ended up getting a shit ton of wood, these wood boxes from work, and trying to tear them down and using the plywood off of it. Every once in a while we'd get 4x4s. I actually turned that into a pretty neat hexagon arch, which turned out pretty well for my sister-in-law's wedding. That was pretty neat. I did a lot of good work. It's very, I've noticed on woodworking, it's very tedious to get it looking right, looking good. There's a lot of fine details that require a lot of effort into actually getting it to a perfection of when I start to do stuff, I tend to want to work into the perfection. In perfection, I've noticed a lot of the times just takes time, a lot of time to get that detail in there, and perfection is sometimes there's nothing in this world that is perfect. That is the problem. Is I've noticed that the more and more you try to get precise with any of your work, any projects that you want to try to do, the more precise you get, the more unprecise you start to notice the thing is. That's where you need to figure out how precise. Set a standard. Set where do you need to get to in this preciseness. If it's going to somebody that you're selling that project to, your quality, your perfection of your work will determine how much of a value that is. The more perfection I was thinking that would actually go into it. If you just don't set a standard of your work, you're not going to get that much value out of it. And value and perfection is time. My biggest thing that I'm struggling with is perception. Perception is another thing to talk about. Start talking about a perception of time itself. That is a big rabbit hole to start to get into. Perception of time. When you start to look at perception of time, what is time itself? When you start to look at it, time is essentially change. What has changed then? When you start looking at change, well, change is a form of energy. And what is energy? Energy is everything. I think I might have said that wrong to my understanding of what I've been trying to understand with frequencies itself. Frequencies is a rate of change. And say 1 hertz is a rate of change. It's 1 cycle per second is 1 hertz. So, and that's a rate of change. And the change itself is time. You start to circumvent on itself. And what is time itself? A life, like start to talk about life itself. Life is just change. So if you're not used to change, you don't like to change, you're essentially saying you don't like life itself. That is my understanding, my opinion about it. Just the more and more you get to looking at things, the more you start to ponder and think about it. The biggest question you ask yourself is, really, what are you here for? What is your purpose? What are you doing? What are you doing in life? I don't know if you ask that question to yourself, but I surely do. I always have searched itself. What is the purpose? What is the purpose of my moving around? What is it? You kind of think about that, and then you start to think about religion and God itself. What essentially is God? To me, I don't exactly know how to get into that subject right at this moment. I do have some ideas and beliefs about what is God itself, but the way I looked at some subjects, whenever I can think clearly and start to look at different situations and my ideology about it, I've noticed that I tend to get where I want and get what I'm actually seeking. I've noticed that the more you seek that you are wanting out of your life itself, you get there. speaking about getting there and past jobs, I don't know, I'm done.